Hello, and welcome to the Reselling Report for today, Friday, April 24th, 2020. I'm your host, Ann Eckhart, and every weekday morning I upload the Reselling Report here to YouTube to update you on the day's retail and e-commerce news, including the latest from eBay, Amazon, Etsy, Mercari, and Poshmark. If you haven't done so already, I hope you'll subscribe. And now let's get on with today's show. Well, happy Friday, everyone. We have made it through another week of the coronavirus pandemic here in America or wherever you are listening from. I've had some comments from international listeners, so hello, welcome. I say this every Friday. Normally, most of us who are resellers would be preparing for a busy weekend of sourcing, going to garage sales, state sales, thrift stores, but that is likely not happening, although Georgia is starting to open up some businesses again. That will be happening today. One of the businesses that can open will be flea markets. So flea markets in Georgia are going to be reopening. So I think Georgia is this test pilot for the rest of the country to see how this goes as they start to slowly try to open up some non-essential businesses, things like barbershops, hairstyle salons, massage parlors. I think the same thing everybody says, how the heck do you social distance in a massage parlor? But yeah, they are reopening some of those service type businesses along with flea markets. So we shall see what happens in Georgia. I'm sure the media will be covering that in depth this weekend as some businesses reopen, although not all will, because it is, of course, up to the retailer. And a lot of places do not feel safe reopening. So even though they can reopen, many likely won't. And even if they do, will customers come? So we will see how that plays out. But hopefully, if you need inventory, you are getting creative in your sourcing. And if you don't need inventory, that means you hopefully have a death pile to work through. People are buying. So this is definitely the time to get your listings up. In today's reselling news, there are several announcements internationally about mail delivery, either delay or suspension. Japan's postal service is suspending mail to the United States as of today, the 24th, due to the coronavirus pandemic, and the USPS put air-to-sea diversion into effect. Also in where we have Australia. Australia is having delays. They put an announcement that says we are doing everything possible to keep delivering. During the coronavirus pandemic, most of our post offices are still open, while our posties and drivers, are working to get your parcels to you. However, the challenges presented by the pandemic mean there are delays as our business adopts additional safety measures to protect our people and customers. Other factors contributing to delays include fewer domestic flights, international delays, and increased volume as more people start shopping online. These delays can be up to a few days, and we ask that you bear with us. Another country, Canada, has put out a release letting people just again know that there are delays. The Canadian Post Office says that Christmas level parcel volumes are resulting in delays as Canada Post continues to deliver. And of course, the U.S. Post Office has let us know that they are delayed a bit. They're adding 1 day to first class and priority mail, and the reselling sites such as eBay and Poshmark and Etsy have let us all know that they have extended handling times and are offering seller protection for delays in mail that are not our fault. So again, just keep doing the best you can. If you're at home, ship every day. Exceed customer expectations. Customers are coming to eBay and Etsy and Poshmark, Mercari because the big sites are sold out or the shipping delays are long. I have been ordering from Amazon and Sam's Club when something pops up that I want, and it's taking up to 2 weeks to get something. But if you're a reseller and you can ship every day, utilize carrier pickup, you can get those packages out. And this will go a long way for those of us to create customer loyalty when all this is over, because if they have a good experience now shopping on eBay, Etsy, Poshmark, they're likely to come back later. A lot of people are now coming to the sites for the first time because they can't get what they need on the big sites. So we definitely want to go above and beyond during this time, exceed customer expectations, and hopefully convert these temporary shoppers into long-term customers. I want to address some concerns I know that some people have about carrier pickup, packages being stolen, or they put a package out and didn't get picked up or it was stolen. You can also put into your request that you want them to ring the doorbell. So you do not have to leave your packages outside. If you're quarantining at home and you're at home anyway, you can do that. The mail carrier will ring your doorbell and you can hand them the packages. The other thing you can do is, if you know when they come at a certain time, you can kind of wait for them to come around and then open the door and give them to them. You just put in your request the night before on USPS.com on the carrier pickup section to put in a request, although a lot of carriers will just take the packages on their own if you only have a few, but it is, of course, best to give them the heads up, especially now that mail, just regular pieces of mail, way down. Most of the mail that comes through the mail these days is business mail, and most businesses have backed completely off. Today was the first day all week that I actually got a piece of mail in the mail. So it's important to do those carrier pickups so your carrier knows to come to your house and get the packages if there isn't any mail to be delivered for you. But yes, you can put in your request that you want them to ring the doorbell, and then you don't have to leave your packages outside. Turning now to eBay, or Glitch Bay as I like to call it, sellers have been having some issues accessing Seller Hub. This was happening Wednesday and into Thursday. As I'm taping the show, I don't know if it's still going on, but there were issues with Seller Hub. Over on the Down Detector website, they've got an eBay outage map, and as I'm looking at it now, it looks like we've got some major issues in the UK and Ireland, maybe, and the East Coast of America. And where else do we have some? What country are you? Oh, you're the UK again. Expand the map and it starts showing it over again. You can't give me two globes here. What the heck? Anyway, hopefully by the time I upload the show, those problems will be resolved. But of course, you can follow the site maintenance technical issues section over on the eBay community forum if you want more information or just to report that you are having an issue. Speaking of eBay, there is a new episode of the eBay for Business podcast, episode 87, checking in with sellers adapting shipping during a pandemic. The nice thing about the podcast is that you can listen to it or you can read the transcript. So this podcast, they are talking to a few sellers and just going over how they are dealing with shipping. The link to the podcast, as well as the links to all the articles that I reference, will be in the show notes below the video if you want to go check them out. Turning now to Etsy, there is a thread over on the Etsy community forum titled, "Did anyone else get sent an email saying your sales are being limited?" This was posted by Beard of God, and he wrote, or I'm assuming it's a he, where there is significant buyer demand in certain categories, Etsy may monitor order volume and take proactive steps to promote a positive buyer experience. It's up to you how you manage your shop and orders within Etsy's policies, and will reach out to offer support if we believe your shop is experiencing unmanageable surges. Person writes, that's the message they got from Etsy. And then they posted, "I have not gotten sales for a few hours since getting this email with the above quote included, and I have had buyers asking if my products are in stock, and they're having issues purchasing when it is, and I'm fulfilling orders 24/7 to meet the demand. Everything is getting fulfilled and shipped before the deadline, so I'm unsure as to why my sales and ad views are being limited. Is this happening to anyone else? Did anyone else receive this email? I keep up to date on my messages as well, so I'm unsure why I'm being limited or for how long this may happen." And then there were quite a few responses to this. So it looks like this is an issue that's been going on since Tuesday, and people still are posting about it. So, just like eBay, Etsy has their issues as well. So hopefully, again, by the time this show goes up, the issue has been resolved. But if this was affecting you, definitely let me know. Leave me a comment below. The Poshmark page over on Facebook has been updated. They have their part 2 of Poshmark Parents blog feature is now up, so you can check that out. They've also posted another inspirational quote, "You deserve happiness." And it's followed by people in the comments talking about the things they wish Poshmark would fix. So I always love to go in these and read what people are saying. Let's see what this person says. "Wish there was a way to delete listings in your closet over a certain amount of time," which I do too. I do not like that feature. This person is suggesting 6 months without having to individually delete each one. I want to be able to donate if I don't sell after a while. There isn't a way to do that if I'm missing is there. And yeah, I wish Poshmark had some bulk features available. Oh, there's another inspirational quote that was updated as I was filming. Loving yourself unapologetically is the biggest flex of all. Oh, Poshmark with all the feels, but that looks like all there's going on with Poshmark today, other than they are updating their Level Up site with photography tips. So that is now up over on the Poshmark, Posh Love, whatever it's called, blog that they have on their site. There's a new post over on entrepreneur.com titled How to Get Second Round PPP Funds as a Sole Proprietor. So this is for those of you who have employees in your reselling business and are looking to apply for the Paycheck Protection Program money. This article goes through how you apply, who qualifies, what you need to do. So if you are looking to get into this particular loan, I will link that article below in the show notes. Of course, this is different from unemployment as well as the disaster recovery programs. There's a lot of different programs out there. I know they're confusing, but if you have employees, you might want to check out this one over on entrepreneur.com. There's a new article on mediapost.com entitled Stand for Small, American Express, eBay, Etsy, Step Up Support. The article reads, as COVID-19 shuts down, decimate main streets across the country, American Express, eBay, and Etsy are all stepping up their support for struggling small businesses. American Express, long a champion of mom and pops through its Small Business Saturday each December, is kicking off a partnership called Stand for Small. The coalition of 40-plus companies is designed to provide support to small companies as they fend off the COVID-19 downturn. With an eye toward helping companies reduce operating expenses, manage teams remotely, and enhance digital capabilities, the initiative includes many familiar names such as FedEx, Adobe, Paychex, and Sam's Club, but it pulls them all together in a single digital platform, making it easier for America's 30 million small businesses to access them. eBay is also cheering up the little guys, launching a new ad campaign called Up and Running. Ads focus on 4 companies that have both brick and mortar shops and now an eBay store. The idea is to help small companies launch online so business can stay open even if your doors are closed. The San Jose, California-based company says that since it launched the program earlier this month, business registration has increased 55%. We talked about that the other day. Registration has increased, but according to other sites, actual launching of new stores and sales has not yet. So maybe people just aren't up and running yet. But article goes on to say eBay is also pledging up to $100 million in support for small businesses, which we knew, including waiving seller fees through July, offering 50,000 free additional listings for store sellers and 200 more free listings for non-store sellers. Again, was it Wednesday's program? Yeah, we talked about eBay has now increased the free listings for store subscribers. So we are getting an additional 50,000 for May, 50,000 for June, and 50,000 for July. Article goes on to say the company is also encouraging big-heartedness, allowing sellers to choose organizations like Feeding America, Direct Relief, and the Opportunity Fund to donate between 10% and 100% of a sale. eBay will match those donations up to $1 million. And Brooklyn-based Etsy is also cheering its small businesses, adding video to Stand with Small campaign. It launched earlier this month and then just goes a little bit to talk about what we've all been talking about here on the show, what eBay and Etsy have been doing to promote small sellers. But it's always nice to see these articles pop up on more websites. The word just spreads. And anytime media is promoting eBay, Etsy, any of these online reselling formats that we're on, platforms that we're on, then I think that's a good thing. And finally, today, there's an interesting article over on CNBC.com titled 4 Reasons Retail in the U.S. Won't Be Bouncing Back Like in China. And while this story focuses on brick and mortar shopping, I always look to these articles as an indication of what e-commerce will look like, because while people may not be going into stores, they may be shopping online. And for those of us who are resellers and maybe selling secondhand or discounted goods, that's usually a boon to us as people go online to look for deals. things that they can get that they're not able to get in the brick and mortar stores. So the points in this article are that America's retail industry is looking to China, where the coronavirus originated, for clues about how shoppers will rebound from the pandemic. In China already, the consumer is back with a vengeance. There is pent-up demand, but the region should not serve as an exact blueprint for how consumers will be returning to stores in the U.S. So this article reads, while America's retail industry is looking for clues to China about how shoppers are rebounding from the pandemic, there are shortcomings to using the region as a blueprint for the U.S. The spread of COVID-19, which originated in Wuhan, the capital city province, has forced brick and mortar shops across the globe to shut down and put millions in the retail industry out of work. As of Thursday morning, there have been more than 2.6 million cases of COVID-19 reported globally. However, in China already, the consumer is back with a vengeance. But the return of retail in the U.S. will likely play out differently as unemployment keeps surging, non-essential stores remain shut for longer, and international travel is still limited. We have 50 states acting as 50 countries. 11% unemployment also never happened in China. Here are 4 reasons retailers should not be banking on retail to bounce back in the U.S. like it has in China. Little red envelopes. Mass shoppers are lining up to return to stores in China, hoarding cosmetics and flashy new outfits, offering retailers a glimmer of hope that the same patterns will play out across America. But a spike in post-pandemic spending activity in China can be attributed in large part to the fact that many consumers have been holding off on spending their Chinese New Year's gift. Families in China will typically send around red envelopes filled with cash to ring in the new year per tradition. But the COVID-19 pandemic forced the shutdown in many cities across China right as Lunar New Year celebrations were set to begin. That said, many Chinese consumers have spent their time at home during quarantine, sitting on that money until stores open back up. This won't be the case for many consumers in America. Next, Chinese tourism is on hold, and luxury retail is looking strong across China post-lockdown. Louis Vuitton has said shoppers flocked to its stores in mainland China when many locations reopened last month. But it might take longer for luxury retail to bounce back in the U.S., especially with international travel on hold. In a normal economy, Chinese visitors typically make up the highest tourist traffic and spending in the U.S. And without international travel, they're not going to be going anywhere. They'll be staying and spending their money while they have it in China. Next point is that store closures in the U.S. drag on. Retail in the U.S. has already been shut down for longer than it was in China, and that could have lasting implications, including more permanent closures and consumers getting more adjusted to buying online. So there we go. As resellers, there's our boon right there. Store closures lasted as little as 4 weeks across some parts of China. The closures in China began the week of January 19th, and in Wuhan in January 23rd. The U.S., however, is in the midst of its 6 weeks of many retail stores that sell non-essential goods, such as apparel, sitting dark. And a wave of closures started March 13th when Patagonia first announced they would be shutting down all of their stores. Now, on a state-by-state basis, the U.S. is trying to figure out what happens next. Is it too soon for the mall to reopen? Can people go safely back to coffee shops? What about the nail salons and gyms? And finally, unemployment in the U.S. surges. In the U.S., all of the job gains since the Great Recession have been wiped out, with 26.45 million Americans filing for unemployment over the past 5 weeks. Without a paycheck, many consumers will be much more reluctant to head to the mall. Retail sales already plunged 8.7% in March, the biggest decline since the government started tracking the series in 1992. Those numbers are expected to be worse in April. In China, for comparison, roughly 5 million people lost their jobs during the first 2 months of 2020. While the losses are still unhealthy, analysts say the country has done a better job in keeping people at work. In many instances, companies are reducing pay before taking more drastic measures, such as furloughing. There has been a strong comeback in China, but will it happen here in America? Definitely different scenarios between the two countries. And that is a wrap on today's show. If you liked it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and leave me your questions and comments. Also, check out the show notes below the video for links to the articles I referenced. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you again on Monday. Have a great day and a great weekend. Bye.